The sun hung low over the Montana plains that late summer day, the kind of golden light that makes everything feel softer somehow. Martha sat on the porch steps of the old log house, her skirt pulled up just a little to let the breeze cool her legs. She held the little brown Bible her mother had given her years ago. Though she had not opened it much lately, her fingers traced the worn leather cover while she watched the horse. Standing there old, Jack was his name, a gentle bay gelding with a white blaze who had carried her husband through blizzards and roundups for near 20 years now. He stood with one hind hoof tipped, resting easy, the lead rope loose in the dust. His eyes half closed. In the heat beside her on the porch leaned Thomas, shirtless from the day's work, his skin brown deep from decades under this same sun, a few new lines around his eyes, but the same steady look he had worn since they married in '68. He rested one boot on the lower step, an arm draped across, his knee quiet as men from that time often were. Martha drew a slow breath and looked up at the horse, then back at Thomas. Her voice came soft, almost shy after all these years together. "It hurts, Thomas. This is my first time." Thomas turned his head slow, his eyes meeting hers, no surprise in them, only understanding. He had known this day would come ever since the vet drove away last spring and said there was nothing more to do. Old Jack's joints had gone to stiff, the pain too deep even for a horse. As proud as he had always been, Thomas reached out and laid his big rough hand over hers on the Bible, warm and sure. "It'll be over quick, darlin'. He won't feel scare. He trusts us." Martha nodded once, tears standing in her eyes, but not falling yet. She leaned her head against Thomas's shoulder the way she had the night their first boy was born and the night they buried their last parent and all the hard nights in between. His skin smelled of hay and sweat and the honest work of a lifetime. She remembered the day they brought Jack home, a wild 3-year-old dancing at the end of a rope, full of fire and spirit. Thomas had spent weeks gentling him, talking low, walking circles in the corral until the horse chose to trust him. She had watched from this same porch back when her hair was still dark and her waist small enough for Thomas to span with his 2 hands. Jack had carried their children on his broad back, taught them to sit deep and ride quiet. He had pulled the sleigh at Christmas time, bells jingling through the snow. He had stood patient while little grandbabies fed him carrots from sticky fingers. Now his muzzle had gone gray, his back swayed a little, but his eyes were still kind. Martha stood up, slow, her knees creaking some the way knees do after 50-some winters. She walked down the steps and crossed the dust to stand at Jack's head. He lowered his nose to her hand, breathing warm across her palm. She scratched the special place under his forelock, the one that always made his eyes soften. "Hey, old friend," she whispered, "you've been good to us. Better than good." Thomas came to stand behind her, his hand resting light on her shoulder. He carried the rifle easy in his other arm, not hurried, not hiding it either, just part of what had to be done, the way you take a pitchfork to clean a stall or a shovel to bury a beloved dog. They had talked about this for weeks in the quiet hours after supper, sitting at the kitchen table with coffee gone cold. Thomas had said they owed Jack the dignity of doing it themselves, quick and at home, surrounded by the land. He knew Martha had cried then, but she had agreed. She pressed her cheek against Jack's neck one last time, breathing in the sweet smell of horse and summer grass. Then she stepped back and nodded. Thomas raised the rifle, smooth and steady, no drama, no big speech. Just the same calm he had used to gentle colts and comfort children with nightmares, and hold Martha through the long nights when the world felt too heavy. The sound was short and clean, like a branch breaking in winter. Rolled Jack folded down gentle into the dust, his legs going out from under him like he was simply lying down for a nap in the sun. Martha made a small sound, not a sob, just a letting go. She knelt beside his head and laid her hand on the white blaze, tears coming now quiet and steady, the way rain comes in spring, needed and right. Thomas knelt to his arm around her shoulders. They stayed there a long time, the 3 of them together. One last time, while the sun slipped lower and the shadows grew long across the corral. After a while, Martha opened the Bible, though she knew the words by heart, and read soft the 23rd Psalm, her voice steady even through tears. "The Lord is my shepherd, I Shall not want he maketh me to lie down in green pastures? Listened. Head bowed when she finished, he spoke low, the only prayer he ever used when words failed him. Thank ye, Lord, for the good year's watch over our friend. They sat in the quiet that a bite comes after something hard is finished, the kind of quiet that feels holy somehow. Crickets starting up in the grass. A meadowlark calling far off the soft creak of the porch, swing moving in the breeze. Martha reached for Thomas's hand, their fingers lacing together the way they had the first time they ever held hands at the county fair. When Ike and Tina Turner were still singing on the radio and gas was 30 cents a gallon. I reckon she said he's running free, no more pain, and those old legs chasing clouds across some big heavenly pasture. Thomas squeezed her hand gentle with all the other good ones waiting, my dad's mare and your little pony from when you were a girl. Feel. Show him the best grass. Martha smiled through the tears. Small but real. He always did like company. They rose together, slow helping each other the way old marrieds do, and walked to the barn for shovels, the work still ahead but not hurried tonight. They would dig the grave under the cottonwood by the creek, where the ground stayed soft and the trees shaded cool in summer while they worked side by side. The sky turned rose and violet, and the first stars came out, the same stars they had watched from bedrolls on branding camps and from the hood of Thomas's old Chevy on dates when they were young, and thought forever was something you could hold in your hand when the hole was deep enough. They wrapped Jack in the clean canvas tarp Martha had saved from their camping days, the one that still smelled faintly of pine from trips to the mountains with the kids. They laid him gentle in the earth and covered him. Slow speaking, soft memories with every shovel of dirt. Remember when he jumped the irrigation ditch with Tommy on his back? I remember how he stood over little Sarah when she fell off and wouldn't let anyone near till we got there. Remember the Christmas he pulled the sleigh all the way to town and back without tiring. Each memory a flower laid on the grave. When it was done, they stood together, sweat cooling on their skin, the night settling peaceful around them. Martha leaned into Thomas and he held her close, the way he had held her through births and deaths and all the ordinary days that make a life. We'll plant wildflowers, here come spring, she said, the kind that come back every year or so. He'll always have color. Thomas kissed the top of her head, soft like that. He always did like pretty things like you. Martha laughed, a little wet but real, flatterer even after all these years. Only the truth, darlin', always only the truth. They walked back to the house, slow arms around each other's waists, the porch light glowing warm like it had every night for 47 years, waiting to welcome them home. Inside, Martha made cocoa the way Thomas liked it, strong with real cream, while he built up the fire, though the night was mild. They sat close on the old couch, her feet in his lap, his hand resting easy on her ankle. A hurt was still there, a bruise around the heart, but gentle now, covered over with love and the sure knowledge that they had done right by an old friend. Outside, the cottonwood leaves whispered in the night breeze, and somewhere beyond the stars a bay horse with a white blaze ran free and young again, cross fields that never fade. Danned in the quiet house, to people who had learned long ago that love means showing up for the hard things as well as the easy ones, held each other close and let the healing begin, slow and steady as morning light across familiar land. The years would keep coming, some gentle, some fierce, but they would meet them together the way they had met this day, with kindness in their hands and courage in their hearts, and the deep, sweet knowledge that being there for each other and for those they loved was what made a life worth a living, and that was enough, more than enough, which was everything.